Welcome to episode 28 of the Tough Draw Talks podcast. I'm your host, Brad Hughes. Appreciate you being along for the ride today. Today's episode, we are live at Bullnanza in Guthrie, Oklahoma at the Lazy E Arena, and none other than our presenting sponsor for 2023, the Lane Frost brand booth. And today we have a very, very special guest who I'm very, very excited to have sitting down with us. A lot of people know her as Lane's mom, but I like to know her as Ms Elsie. Ms Elsie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for sitting down with me.
You're so welcome.
I have to admit, over the last several months, being able to get to sit down and visit with you, whether we have a microphone or a camera in front of us or not, has been such a blessing to me personally. And we have Mr. Clyde sitting over here as well. And so I'm just, to be honest, I'm very, very thankful to have gotten to know y'all like I have and have y'all in my life like I do.
Thank you. Feelings mutual.
Thank you, ma'am. With our podcast, we like to start off with some icebreakers just to get. Oh no, we dropped the mic. Hang on, just a second. I'm sorry.
We wouldn't know how to act if everything just went smooth.
I know, right? Not only that, but you know, we have icebreaker questions, but I mean, I think mic falling on you is probably
might
good enough.
break the ice pretty well.
Miss Elsie, just some basic and just some questions just to start things off, because really what I want to do with this podcast is I'd like to just talk about you, and I want to know more about you. I find you very interesting as a person, and I would love to hear more. So, what's your favorite movie?
Probably The Cowboys.
Oh yeah,
It's one of my favorites.
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
What about the Cowboys do you love so much?
Oh, because of all those little kids, and and how they changed from the time they left till the end of the. And of course, John Wayne's one of my favorite movie stars.
Yes, ma'am.
So that would be. And other than that, one of the old ones is To Kill a Mockingbird. I love that movie too.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can tell I'm old school.
Do you like the book as well, To Kill a Mockingbird?
Yes, I read it once years and years ago, and it seemed like I liked it, but I don't really remember that much about it.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. What's your favorite food?
Oh, about anything. Well, I love a good steak, any time, but.
Yes, ma'am.
And a little pecan pie or something is good too.
Absolutely.
I do quite a lot of cooking, so I have a lot of favorites. But
you're an amazing cook, and I can attest to that. This question, I always find fascinating to see kind of where people take it, because it's such an open-ended question. And somebody that's in your position, I'm sure this actually might be kind of a hard one for you. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
When anybody compliments my kids, that's the best compliment for me.
Yes, ma'am.
And, that's even my grandkids now. When someone comes over and tells me how mannerly they were, or something, it just thrills my heart.
Yes, ma'am.
So that would be the best for me. So.
Yeah. And you just recently had another grandkid added to the plate. Great grandkid.
Granddaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
First daughter born in our family in 60 years.
Wow. All right.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am. No problem.
Okay.
That's impressive.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
good job, Stetson.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
No, is that some of your favorite time now these days of just getting to play with the great grandkids?
I get to spend a little
stuff?
time with them, and so yeah, that's a kind of a favorite time. And I'm a quilter, and so I when I'm at home with not a whole lot else to do, I love to quilt.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's an enjoyable time for me.
Oh, I know. When I've talked to Stetson about calling you or not calling you, he's been like, "Well, it's her quilting time. You can't, don't interrupt, don't cut into quilting time."
Not on Thursday. I go quilt with some other ladies on Thursday. So.
Yes, ma'am. No, I appreciate it. But so, like I said, I know that there's a lot of discussions that we've had, obviously about Lane and different things like that through the documentary, and. Just to kind of give you a small update on that, since I hadn't gotten to talk to you in a while, we're in the post-production phase. We're very far into the post-production, and we're actually trying to work with Warner Brothers right now, because we would like to use a couple of the clips from 8 Seconds just to help, help visualize some of those things that
Kind of tie it
yes,
together.
ma'am. Yeah, exactly. And anyway, we're kind of hitting snags there.
Oh,
But we've got, as you can
that.
imagine, yes, ma'am. So we've got a lot of help on that front. But what we're actually getting to do here at Bullnanza has been a true blessing because Jordan's running around and we're actually getting a lot of great shots for the documentary that
Good.
we haven't had the opportunity to get. And then obviously with last night, both Frost boys, covering
That was
that.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, that went, that couldn't have worked out better as
No,
far as for
I
some
should
footage.
say, yeah.
So, so that's kind of the update there. But I really would like to spend some time, if you're okay with it, just talking about you and Mr. Clyde. And I'd love to know more about your background and where your history, where you're from, and kind of how you got to know Mr. Clyde over here.
Okay. Well, we were both raised in southeastern Colorado near Kim, and both attended school there. But Clyde was quite a ways ahead of me because he's a little older than I am. But I remember noticing him even when he was about a senior in high school, and I was about in the 8th grade, and I was kind of stricken by him. And he had a younger brother that ran around with my older brother.
Oh, okay.
And so they were best of friends. And then he actually drove the bus some. And so I remember one time we went to a basketball game, and he was driving the bus, hauling the cheerleaders in the pep club over to this basketball game. And a big dirt storm came up. That was kind of common in southeastern Colorado at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
And we had to just stop and sit on the road there for a long time. And I happened to be sitting up in front by him. And so we did quite a bit of visiting. And so I think I kind of got a crush on him then. But he was rodeoing at that time. And so I started writing him letters. And, I think I even asked him, would you like to get a letter while you're rodeoing? And he said, sure, So back then, they were usually at one place several days, and so I could just send it to the rodeo office in that town.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we started writing letters, and then he would ask me on a date or two when he was home, which wasn't very often. And and even when we got engaged to be married, there were several people like, well, who? Who are you?
They didn't believe you, did they?
Yeah, they never
We haven't
hardly
met
seen
him.
us. Yeah, where is he? But anyway, that was, and like I say, we were both raised on a ranch, and my brother rodeoed some with his brother, and he started rodeoing when he was just a kid because he had a neighbor guy that his kids rodeoed, and they took them all to the kids' rodeo. His family didn't really have enough money to even take them up there, but this other neighbor did.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
so Clyde won that kids' rodeo when he was just real young, and his brother won it a little later, and that kind of got him started. And his dad was a horse trader, so he had a lot of horses around and rode horses a lot. But anyway, after going to a few rodeos, he realized he could make more money there than he did in a week driving the bus or doing
Yes, ma'am.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so him and a friend of his there, J.J. Like and Kim, they started rodeoing together and joined the PRCA in '53, I think.
Yes,
he
ma'am.
said. And so, and it was somewhere, we got married in '58, so we probably started going together maybe in '56 or something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
But, and I was raised on a ranch too, and like I say, my older brother rodeoed some, and then I had a younger brother that did a little bit of rodeoing, but at first my dad was kind of upset because these Frost boys had kind of led his boys into rodeoing.
Yes, ma'am.
But about the time he went to a rodeo and they won something, he was like, "Oh, that's my son." He was
Changed
proud.
his tune a little bit.
Changed his tune for
Yes,
sure.
ma'am.
But
Yes, ma'am.
anyway.
Did you rodeo at all?
No, I
No?
didn't.
Okay.
No, I tried out for Queen for the kids' rodeo at Lahana one time, and the county fair at Trinidad one time, and that was kind of fun to do that. But
That's cool.
But no, I didn't rodeo.
Yes, ma'am. So that happens, and y'all get married, and I know Clyde was a part of the first NFR and stuff like that. Did you work the office for that?
I
or?
worked that one because I was working at the PRCA office at the time. We were living in Denver.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
that's where the PRCA office was at that
Yeah.
time, and I worked there, and so I got to go to that first finals I was helping doing the scorekeeping, and they had 2 performances a day back then at that first rodeo, And so just as soon as the judges turned in their books and the secretary okayed everything, I called it in to the printers so they could get it printed for that night's performance. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that was kind of my job.
Yeah. So hearing about letters and hearing about keeping score sheets and all these things, like what is today, what does your mind think about when you're like, man, that's so much easier today than what I had?
True. But even when the finals is on, at least the bull riding, I have to write them all down and write the scores down and stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's just a thing in me that, because last night I kept thinking, I sure wish I had a program. And I saw that they did have some, so I've got one tonight.
There you go. Yeah.
But,
I was going to
it's
say,
fun
we'll get you a day sheet if you can't.
Because there's
find
always
one.
a discussion afterwards, and somebody will say, well, what did so-and-so do? I can get out my little score sheet and let them know.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So,
man, when you then y'all had three children,
mm-hmm.
correct? And tell me a little bit about your kids, just in general, not just Lane, but Cody
well,
and
Robin was
as
our
well.
first, and she is very, how do I say? Very competitive, like
Yes,
Lane
ma'am.
was.
Yeah.
And she rodeoed in high school and college and some youth rodeos. But, and very, if you want to know what she thinks, you're gonna find out what she thinks.
Yes, ma'am.
So her and Lane were quite a bit alike in personalities, you might say. And we had a dairy. We lived in Utah at that time, in the Uinta Basin there in Utah. And we had a dairy when they were young. And Robin was so independent, I think about it now, because Clyde would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go out and get the cows in and start milking them. Then I would get up a little later and go out and take over the milking while he went and did the feeding and so forth. Well, she was probably in the 3rd or 4th grade, and Lane was probably in the 1st or 2nd grade. And she would get them both up, fix them breakfast, make sure they were ready to go and get on the bus. And I wouldn't even see them till that night when they got off of the bus. And then I'd be back out in the barn. They'd have to come back out to the barn to see me. But
that's cool.
But they learned to be hard workers. Even then, it was their job to wash down the dairy barn when we got through milking, and it was their job to feed the baby calves on bottles. And that's when Lane actually started. One day Clyde caught him in the corral. He had a baby calf up in the corner and had a binder and twine around it or something, was trying to ride it and kicking it, trying to get it to buck. And
yes, ma'am.
He had his dog with him, and he quietly said, sick him to his dog, and his dog sicked that calf, and he bucked, and Lane fell off. But he came back and said, oh, Dad, that was fun. Let's do that again. But anyway, Robin complained because he didn't feed as many calves as she did because he was too busy trying to ride them. But,
yeah.
And then Cody came along. He was a baby about that time. Robin was born in 61, Lane was born in 63, and he was born in 68.
Yes, ma'am.
And so but they both just kind of doted on Cody. They thought he was just about the greatest,
That's cool.
And when they would go with their dad, they would reach over to Cody and say, tell Dad we need to stop and get an ice cream or get something. If he asked, they knew that he would stop.
Yeah.
But
no, that's really cool. That's so cool. And then y'all, talk to me a little bit about, I know we talked about it in more extended interview, but when y'all decided to move to Oklahoma, what was that decision and kind of what went into that?
It was mostly just because of the cold weather. Clyde worked for ranches as well as we run cattle and stuff, and so he was outside nearly all the time.
Yes, ma'am.
And he had rodeoed with Freckles Brown down at Lawton, Oklahoma, where Freckles lived. And, he liked the country down here, and so he just decided it was time that we made a move, and it was fine with me. And so he came down to, we looked at some real estate books with other, in other areas.
Yes, ma'am.
But he decided to come down and stay with Freckles and Edith and do some looking around, and so he found 2 or 3 places that he liked, and so I came down and we picked the place at Lane, Oklahoma. That's the first time I'd ever heard of Lane, Oklahoma. Lane certainly wasn't named after it or anything. And Lane was kind of surprised when we told him we were going to move to a place by the name of Lane. Lane had a hard time remembering names, and Clyde said, well, that way you'll always remember where you're from.
Make it easy.
It worked.
Yes, ma'am. That's really cool. And, obviously we can't we'd be completely remiss to just brush over everything, but, with Lane and obviously the story of everything that happened, one thing that I really want to highlight and talk about is what Lane's death has kind of led to for you, more in depth about the Bible ministry, which, you've been here. You and Mr. Clyde are actually here in Guthrie at the Lazy E, and y'all are signing Bibles for people.
Bibles, yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, let's talk about that and just how that all started.
God has used his death. I mean, we never dreamed at the time, it was just so devastating. Any parent that's lost a child knows how devastating that is. But he was saved not too long before he was killed, and I just felt like that people needed to know that, because when the movie came out, they didn't tell that. And so I began going places, especially to youth rodeos and cowboy churches and stuff, and telling Lane's story of how he got saved, because because I just felt like that was so important. That and then the Bible ministry, that was a God thing, because I just didn't think we could do that. I didn't think we had enough money, but God just kind of led me into doing it. And sure enough, to begin with, I would never have enough money to pay for him till about the 30 days was about up, when I had to pay for him, and there was always enough money there to do it. And,
yes, ma'am.
And so we just started giving those Bibles away, and at this point we've given about 360,000 of those Bibles out. And and in that it tells a little Lane's salvation story, just briefly,
Yes, ma'am.
And so I just pray over those Bibles every time we get a shipment in, that people will receive them and read them, and it'll help them to know that they need to accept Jesus as their personal Savior.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I just know God has used it. So
absolutely,
it's been amazing.
Absolutely, and I know that. Just a reset here, we are live from Bullnanza at the Lazy E. They're actually just getting ready to kind of open the doors, so I apologize for the noise, but we're just going to keep on going.
Okay.
And if you didn't hear, I want to make sure it said that 360,000 is the number she said.
Yep.
A horn went off right when she said that, and I just have a feeling that was Satan.
yeah, you're
like,
right. He
nope.
didn't want people to hear that, but and I have to give credit. We have a donor that is so good about donating the Bible Fund, and he probably wouldn't even want me to mention his name, but
yes, ma'am.
He's just been such a blessing, and I don't even know. I asked him one time how he even knew about us or why he decided to donate to us, and he said, God told me to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we're truly blessed that he's,
and I wanted to get more of that, and anything you want to say about the Bible ministry, I want to make sure and get it, because again, you were so gracious to share that with us with the documentary, and that's definitely something that we really want to highlight for you, because we know that Hollywood hasn't depicted that in the appropriate manner, and that there haven't been a lot of opportunity to really do it right. And so we, as creatives and as filmmakers and just as human beings, we can't thank y'all enough for entrusting us the way y'all have to tell this story.
It's just another way that the story gets out there, that people know about Lane being saved. And I just feel like that's the most important thing for people to know, and the Bible ministry has just done that, And
yes, ma'am.
when we started that, I think the smallest amount you could order was like 600 or something,
yes, ma'am.
Bibles. So that's what I ordered, and so I kept ordering that. And then we got up to 1,000 and 2,000. Now I order 10,000 at a time.
Wow.
And at my
That's
age,
awesome.
I'm thinking, I don't know how many more years I want to do this. But now we've got Stetson.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think he'll take it over. He
Absolutely.
already has taken some of it over. And I think he'll continue to do it. So there's no telling how long, this will last.
Yes, ma'am.
And, and the little cowboy Bible don't amount to much, but it sends a message, and I feel like people might pick that up when they might not pick up any other Bible.
Yes, ma'am.
Just because they're curious, and so I just hope that they read the story about Lane's salvation, and some of them might come to know Jesus because of the Bible.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Well, you created a great segue there. It's like you've done this before. But you talked about Stetson and what he's doing and continuing, kind of picking up. And as you get older, looking at how does the Bible ministry keep going and stuff like that. Can you talk a little bit about what Stetson's doing with the Lane Frost brand? Because I know that some people might look at it and just kind of look at it kind of weird, like, oh, is he just trying to make money and stuff like that?
Right.
But I would love to get your perspective of it because...
You know, when he first started doing it, I just thought, what a nice little side thing for him to do, you know, because, you know, he had a job but he just started doing some of the little things. And I thought, well, that's neat that he wants to keep Lane's name alive, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
And, of course, it's just grown to something I never, ever dreamed it would grow to. And of course, Stetson gets a lot of credit for that. He's, you know, he's just got a good business mind on him and knows what to do. And I know there are probably people even today that says, well, he's just trying to make money off of Lane's name. But, you know, that's not how it started at all. And, of course, you have to make money to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's just done that. And I don't know how long it'll last. Maybe someday people will quit being interested in Lane and quit buying his stuff, and I'm sure Stetson will have other plans when that happens or if it happens. But for the next while, I think it's just going to keep on, and so he's just really done a good job.
Yes, ma'am. Well, as a storyteller and as a fan of Lane, and like, you know, I don't know if I might have shared this with you, but one of the first movies I actually remember seeing in a theater and remembering very intimately was 8 Seconds.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am. And so, you know, and I was that kid that in Lubbock, Texas, that would wait in line at Jibo's and wait for Tufts autograph, and buy the cards that had commemorative Lane Frost cards. I still have all those, by the way. I've got all of them. If y'all want a copy of Lane cards, I can get y'all hooked up.
I've still got some copies.
I'm sure
too.
you do. But no, I mean, I think just like you alluded to earlier about John Wayne and just figures in Western culture, like, you know, just to share with you from my perspective as a storyteller and wanting to tell Lane's story, to me, it's an inspiration, and it's something that, you know, you ask, how long can it go?
Right.
Like, good stories about good people that were raised the right way, that lived their life the right way, that left the impact that he did.
Yeah, because I never imagined that 8 Seconds, I mean, to me, that's another God thing, because I never dreamed that 8 Seconds would do what it did. And, of course, there was things about it that we didn't like. And, of course, one of the things was they didn't tell that Lane was a born-again Christian.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, but little kids watch it today that, you know, wasn't even a thought in their parents' mind, you know, when Lane died. And I just never dreamed that it would go on that long.
So Jordan shared a little personal story from last night that he said was pretty awesome. Do you know what I'm talking about? So last night he said that y'all were sitting there and he was filming y'all, and kid came up. My name's Lane.
Yeah.
Oh, great. You know, next kid, three times in a row.
That happened.
Like, as a mother, like, you know, again, I want to hear about your perspective. Like, how does your heart feel as a mom, knowing that your son made that kind of an impact?
It brings tears to my eyes, you know, when I know that they're named after Lane, because I just never thought. And even, you know, when I picked Lane's name, I had never heard that name, never had. And I thought, where did that come from? But I just talked to Clyde about it, and I said, I like the name Lane. And of course, he said that was fine with him. And Lane's middle name is Clyde.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't think Lane Clyde went together all that good, but I just liked that name. And I just never dreamed that there'd be so many Lanes, you know, because even when we watch rodeos on TV now, there's several Lanes.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and they're about the
time.
Age that I just know that's where that name came from.
Yeah.
And so it just touches my heart, you know,
yes, ma'am.
that people thought enough of the story of Lane that they would name their child that.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
It's amazing.
Well, we're live from the floor, Bullnanza, here at the Lazy E in Guthrie, and it's 6:00, so they're about to start opening the doors. So we'll try to jump to some fan questions just to wrap this up. But I'm sure at some point we will sit down again, Ms. Elsie.
Okay.
Actually, this is funny. This kid's name is Easton, which is just like my son.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't know who this is, but they said, did Ms Elsie watch? Did she ever go to the Sisters Rodeo live when Lane was riding? No. Okay.
We would have liked to have.
Yeah.
But we weren't at any of the rodeos where Lane rode Red Rock.
Yes, ma'am.
He would call us right away, and of course then there weren't any videos to send us or anything, but we weren't at any of the rodeos where he rode Red Rock, and we would have loved to have been.
Yes, ma'am.
But they were in California and Utah, and where it just wasn't handy for us to go.
Yes, ma'am. So here's an interesting one from Zach.
Okay.
Zach wants to know, if you and Mr. Clyde were not in rodeo, what would y'all be doing? Like, what, in another reality, in another life, what would you have been doing outside of rodeo?
Oh, I'm sure we would have still been ranchers.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no doubt about that. That's Clyde, that's about all Clyde knew, and we've run cattle and ranched our whole life, and rodeo was just a part of that. But without the rodeo, we would have still been ranchers, and no doubt about it.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
yes, ma'am. As such key figures of the Western culture and rodeo community, what does it mean to you for there to be kind of a resurgence of interest in Western culture? I know a lot of that was created by Yellowstone and stuff like that,
right.
but at the same time, the PBR is trying to do different things, and
right.
there's more money being infused, and people are trying to make it more interesting. What does that mean to y'all as far as from a rodeo family and just Western culture?
It means a lot, because I just think people are coming back to basic things and loving our country and like prayer at rodeos. I think people are like that, and the national anthem and standing for the national anthem, and I know Yellowstone probably has helped that. I don't. We've never watched Yellowstone because there's too much language in it.
I was about to say, Miss Elsie, you probably don't want to.
I'd like to
I
talk
promise.
to that the guy that writes that and let him know that if he'd take some of that out, he'd gain a whole new audience.
He would.
And he's not going to lose the audience that he's already got.
He would.
But anyway, so we appreciate Yellowstone for that fact that it has brought a lot of people back to wanting to be a cowboy or wanting to know more about cowboys and the cowboy way of life.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
appreciate that.
Awesome. So last question, and I'm just going to throw this one at you because I talked to you on the phone. Give me your best quilting war story. What do you love to do at quilting? Do y'all sit there? Give us some insight. What is the quilting room like? Is it intense?
I just have one in my bedrooms. It's my sewing room, and so that's where I put a quilt together. I usually just see a picture or something, and I think, oh, I like that. I believe I'll try to do that. And so I put it together, and then I have room in my living room. I'm lucky enough I've got a place in my living room where I can put it up on frames and do the quilting in the living room, so that Clyde's not, he don't have to have me back in the bedroom all the time.
Yes, ma'am.
And like I say, on Thursday I go to a quilting where I quilt with other ladies, and it's just relaxing to me, and it's interesting to see what they make and bring to the table to be quilted, and
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
just something I enjoy doing.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know how long my eyes and all will allow me to do that, but I'll do it as long as. And I have sent some quilts to the finals each year, and
Yes,
they
ma'am.
auction them off at the ladies' luncheon, and it goes to the Justin Cowboy Crisis. And I've been thrilled that they have done so well out there and brought a lot of money to the Cowboy Crisis Fund. So that's been exciting for me.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Well, Miss Elsie, they're starting to make the music louder and all those things,
Yeah.
so we'll get this wrapped up. But
Okay.
Thank you so much for being a part of this
You're
today and
welcome.
sitting down with
Thank
me.
you for wanting to hear our story.
Absolutely. I have so
It's
much
not that
interest in
exciting.
y'all. Oh, yes, it is. It's always exciting to hear about the past and how people came to be where they were, and just the mentality. And I love sharing stories about Western culture, and to me,
Yeah.
y'all are a big part of that for me. Y'all have been gracious to us and
We
welcomed
just-
us into your
We
home.
just
and-
praise God that our health is where we can still come to these kind
Yes,
of
ma'am.
things and enjoy it. And,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
we'll drive home tonight after this is over, because
Yes, ma'am.
we kind of hate to miss church in the morning, and so
Yes, ma'am.
we'll drive home tonight. But we
Yes,
just
ma'am.
we
Well,
enjoy it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you again for jumping on. You don't have you have Facebook, correct?
Yes, I do have
okay.
Facebook.
Okay. Well, y'all make sure and check out Ms Elsie's Facebook, maybe for quilting tips. And if y'all would follow along with us on social media at Tough Draw and at Tough Draw Talks, where you can find more episodes of the podcast. And thank you again to Stetson Frost at the Lane Frost brand for providing us a home here at Bullnanza. And Ms. Elsie, again, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank y'all for listening. Until next time, everyone, enjoy the ride.